Beep. What's up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and over the weekend I got a message from one of you guys that a label said that your leads were not interesting enough. Now, this individual has sent his music to me in the feedback stream, and I always keep telling him the same exact thing. Your leads suck and your hooks suck. So what the label probably meant was, hey, you know, you're using a very generic lead and you're not doing enough. You're doing the bare minimum. And when you're a small artist, you have to risk it. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys some ways that you can make basic saw leads sound interesting, and I'll give you some more examples on stuff you can do to make your leads, again, pop a little more. We're going to start with a basic saw, and this is the context that we're going to be making a lead.
I was there, but we couldn't see.
The track where they a bass and a lead, right? Then the lead has to be magnificent. So most of the time, anthemic leads will always be a saw, like almost 100% of the time. But there's things that we can do to make this lead sound more interesting. The first thing is we can grab an LFO and route it to the fine, okay? And this, at a very fast rate, will make the lead sound gritty, and at a very slow rate, will make it sound lo-fi. We can change to a sine. You hear it? Okay, so that's a step in the right direction, right? From there, there's also envelope tricks that we can use on the pitch. Like, for instance, we can grab a very short decay, lower the sustained decay, and we can route this to the chorus. We can hold Alt, Shift, click, and we go up, we get more punch. Okay, if we go back, we get more. Okay, and you can already hear how the lead is taking shape. You know, as a sound designer, I get a lot of people that will always come to me for sound design lessons and music production lessons at various levels, professionals to, you know, the hobbyists. And a lot of times, some will come with with questions about how to make a saw sound more interesting. So these are things that I will teach them. You know, we can do all of this in order to get the saw to sound even better. But from there, the way that you process the sound that you are using is also going to add to the identity. So for example, if I decide to go with a filter like this or a bandpass on the saw, right, then I get something that sounds like this. Now, it doesn't sound too good, but the point of that is that as I continue to process the saw using distortion, saturation, I'll get that. Now from here, as a producer, right, you need to understand the canvas that you're working with. It's like a painter, a blind painter. You know, you can't see where the edges are, so you just start painting all over. If you're a producer and you don't know about the stereo image, if you don't know about frequency, then again, you're kind of going in blind. So for instance, as a producer that understands stereo image, center, sides, I know that this lead is very monophonic. It's very down the center. Okay, we're going to even put this down. So it might be in my best interest to add a wide layer. Now, this is where you can start getting a little more interesting. One, you can just decide to go like this and maybe go here, here, here instead. We're routing B into the filter. So now we get a different tone on the sides. Now it's sounding a little different. But you can see how, okay, cool, we're going somewhere. The lead is sounding a lot more interesting. We started with a basic saw lead, right? But we're adding to it. We're exploring. Because from there, I can add now a noise, a click to it. So that's another thing that we can play with. There was a study that they did where they showed them different instruments, a piano and a cello. But the moment that the initial hit of that instrument was removed, people could not tell the difference whether it was a piano or it was a string. So what that tells you is that's another form of sound design that you can do to kind of give a different perspective to the listener, right? So I'm not gonna go that fancy. I'm just gonna put white noise, but that's where it comes from. Let's add a bit. Okay, how else can I push the lead? So this is where you're gonna use your plugins. For instance, I am a huge fan of this one called the Harmonic Vulture Culture. If I could afford the real analog thing, I would. But see, like I can't even use it anymore because I'm out of space. Life out of this. That noise is starting to sound like a bad idea. with the mix here, and I just want to target more of the highs to distort or saturate them, warm them up. I want high end. And as I do this, I might decide to go back and say, you know what, maybe this was not a good idea. Let's go back down to 1. Can probably grab an EQ and I move along. Now you've probably seen these like stories that go viral on Instagram where you just see people saturating, cleaning, saturating, cleaning, right? That's part of the sound design journey as well. You're just trying to bring tone into it, and we continue the journey with another decapitator. If you don't know what to do with decapitator, that's totally fine. Look through presets and try and push. But again, there is going to be some skill to it because there's people that will distort but sound horrible. So again, you have to be kind of tasteful about it. A hint of it is not bad. You can automate stuff. I feel like with these kind of leads, you can't really do too much because they're just too like, they're EDM-y as hell, right? So what we're going to do is add this washout, which everyone already knows about. I didn't have to give my email for this, by the way. In the gaps. The other thing that you can do is layer a sound. And when it comes to layering, there is a bit of theory involved in it. The main thing is don't pick the same damn lead over and over again. Like, see, like this one, that's a very nice tail to the sound, right? There we go. Here are some examples of ways that I think I've added like a touch to these sounds to just make them anti-label things lead as boring. In this section of the song here, I have this FM shot that is coming in. Okay, from one of my packs, I believe it's going to be Deceiver 6. Yeah, the new Deceiver. So in the ear candy section, FM grooves. What I've done to make it sound different, however, because again, when you have presets, everyone's going to have access to them. I make presets for a living and I will use my stuff a lot, but I always process further so that I give it a different flavor. So for this one, I've decided to run it through tape. This whole track, the idea of it is trying to make it sound as old as possible. So having that concept allows me to kind of look at the sounds and go, how can I make them sound older, more worn? So tape is a form of saturation or processing that we can do to give the bass a different color, as well as a different sort of saturation that not a lot of people use. From there, the IPS, for instance, 30. Versus more worn. So we use that. From there, a bit of erosion, a bit of noise. And just gives it that interesting like flavor, right? And now okay, super cool, right? So even the lead itself, right? It's a synth shot, but again, I've processed it. The idea is trying to be as old as possible. I really like this stuff. I'm liking funk, so I might make that one day. And here's the thing, right? I'm just pushing as much as I can to give the lead more. Right? It sounds cool. But now look how it sounds. Like it's like night and day, right? Because again, as you start to process the sounds, it's like you're adding salt. You can start off with a really good steak, aka evil sounds, dude. But when right, like you don't season the steak, it's okay, but it's steak. You gotta show them what's up, and you gotta add some flavor into it. And one of the things with music that I love is when something is hooky. I hate music that is like different sounds going off and stuff, but again, that's just my vibe. I like doing hooks. I like making music where there's a memorable motif in it. So in order to keep that lead interesting as well, the label might say, oh, the leads are not interesting because maybe it's the way that I use it, right? If I want to use the lead in the break, I'm always thinking, what can I do to make it sound different in the break? So Tantra, again, I showed you guys this plugin. It's a very interesting plugin that allows us to have these sort of effects around the lead and I like to use it in a very different setting. For instance, here, go to the mix and we activate it, essentially making the Tantra a lot wetter in the break. Look at that. And now we have a different vibe to the lead. Used in a different setting, right?
That's what we do. We go hard all night.
And we can even put it up, right? Now we go. And now we got that, right? Boom, boom. And now we can't use the lead. So we come in with something else. Right? And now on the drop, I am not going to have the lead have Tantra like that. Maybe might have it like a hint of it, but not a lot. Why? Contrast. It's the way that we use the leads, giving the leads a rasp, processing the leads. This is what makes music come to life, right? And I'll show you something. So I've been incorporating a lot more synth loops in the music that I'm making currently. And the reason for that is because there's a different mindset that you get, right? And if you find that when you use synth presets, you just feel like kind of you can't find anything unique, consider using synth loops or consider bouncing down the lead. Okay, so for instance, here I have these synth stabs I found. And the key with them is, again, I always create the main idea first. And then from there, I need to supplement that idea. I need supportive elements. And a lot of the times, this is where it gets hard to find good sounds. So I'll go to Splice, I'll go to Loop Cloud, and then from there, I'll like find something dope. And once I find it, I'll try and fit it in somewhere. But the cool thing is that now I can choose to put this at 12, and this gives a different vibe than I could ever get with any synth. Like, that's interesting. That sounds more interesting. Look at that. Right? Like, you get different tones that you wouldn't get with a synth, right? The other thing, too, is the reverse is so clutch. Look at this.
I just want to be at the disco.
So pretty much
I just want to be at
grab this, and this allows me to do reverses so easily. Reverse.
I just want to be at the disco.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you have a lead, I always suggest that you also bounce it down. It's another way to go about it. Check it out. So we're going to record from here. I just want to go to the disco, babe. And now look, this is the cool part, right? I can grab this reverse, and now I have a lead shot. And that's a sick lead. So then I can start using what I learned. There's a reason we go on YouTube, and that's to learn. And if you're not using what you're learning, then there's no point of you being on YouTube. Okay, we have a lot of people that think they know it all, and then you check out the stuff they make, and I'm like, it just sounds like basic ass shit. Like, where the hell is your character, your creativity used for the break? But then there's a sound design section here, which we can always check. It happens every now and then, right? Is it gonna work? I don't know, but if it does, dope. You know, if it doesn't, okay, cool, whatever. I had fun doing that. Oh yeah.
I just want to feel the bass.
Okay, so now.
I just want to feel the bass. I just want to be at the disco.
And again, I can bring it down as well. Like, it might be too high.
I just want to be at the disco.
Right? Like, and that's the cool thing, as you can see there. Now, when it comes to making leads interesting, again, I showed you guys a various amount of ways to do it. Look at your plugins, go through everything, make it work, okay? A lot of times when the label says that your leads are not interesting enough, it's because you just pick very generic sounds and you are not L.I. Brown. The other thing is you also probably picked a generic sound. You had a good melody, but the melody wasn't good enough. And if the melody wasn't good enough, you probably overdid it and the A&R heard it through and got tired of the lead. Because remember, it's all psychological. It's all perception. Yes, music makes us feel stuff when done properly. But if you are killing the lead, if you're squishing the chicken too much, then what do you think's gonna happen, bro? Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more content. I've also made other videos where if you are the type of guy that doesn't believe stuff unless someone big did it, which you can watch this video where there's case studies on big artists and how they made their leads interesting. From there, guys, you guys take care. And hopefully with this video, you can make the labels